Walton trustees heard updates on the new Currey well on Water Street and other projects at a meeting held Monday, April 1st.
We had a couple of project updates and one asks tonight. On the sewer system, the I&I work that was completed in February, or the repairs that were authorized were completed in February. And we're coordinating with EFC to get the report approved so that we can get the second half of the grant from EFC to get the village reimbursed for those costs.
Do you know how much longer that's gonna take?
I'm hoping this month we'll have it. And then the other ongoing project is valve replacement in the C-Bug building and the sand filter building in the back of the wastewater plant. That is work that was authorized this past fall, and that's progressing kind of as flows allow. Parts and pieces have been ordered, and some of them are installed, and that work is underway, and that's being funded by New York City to keep that piece of the plant operational. On the other end of the pipe, our water system, we do have our capital project is going to be starting this month. Right now we're looking at starting the tank rehab. We're going to do the steel tank first. That'll take a few weeks, and then the concrete tank is the second one that's up there. That one will be rehabbed second. So that's a big piece of the project. The other big piece is the work on Route 10. And right now that's looking like the end of April. The contractor's going to mobilize to start the water main replacement there. So the schedule has moved around a few weeks. You know, it's nice today, but I know it's not going to be the rest of this week. So they don't want to jump into anything until we are hopeful that the weather's going to hold. So we'll have some more updates, and by next board meeting you should be in construction on that. And then we'll start having invoices from the contractor, and that project is being funded with the grant and loan from New York State EFC. The last project update at Currey well, you know, we know that's been ongoing for several months. This past month, the driller did the step test, which is the precursor to the 72-hour pump test, and that's what kind of dictates what our flow rate is going to be. They pump it as hard as they can until the well gets to the point of almost running out of water to see what our yield is going to be, and we're in the range of 250 to 300 gallons per minute is what our yield is right now. We had our goal going into it was to be in the 400 to 500 gallon a minute range.
Yeah.
So right now we're in the 250 to 300. What they found was there's a lot of sand in the water bearing area, which is 150 foot down. There's a lot of sand, so they have to put a fine screen in to keep the sand out. But when we put a fine screen in, it then limits how much material can come into the well. So if we want more water, we can open the screen up, and then we have dirty water. So in order to have clean water and not over pump the well, that's the yield range that we can get with that well. So to get more water, you know, it would be put more wells in other places, which
Sure, just get another 400,000.
So that's not really an option, but a 250 to 300 gallon a minute well, you know, would meet our daily need. Just having to run it more hours per day than a 400 gallon a minute well.
It's good, Butch, you all right with that?
Yeah.
You kind of have to be, right?
Is that gonna keep us compliant for the fire department to have enough water pressure to?
Yeah, I mean, so that will fill the tanks, you know, which is what sets the pressure for the water system. So we do have very good pressure, particularly low in the system. You know, up around 100 pounds of pressure. So that the water, the pressure is set by the elevation of the tank. So the capacity of the well is somewhat separate from that, but that well will still fill the tanks. It just has to run for
That's like for producing more than 2 wells also right now.
These are just kind of scary numbers for, you know, what we're hoping to get
Yeah.
versus what we're getting for the money.
Half of what we was hoping for. Yeah,
a
but
little over half.
little over half, okay.
Over half full.
Yeah, half empty or half full, I got it.
But it's still, The reason we went there is because it's close to our existing well house, so
Yes.
that we don't have to build a new well house, which would be $1 million+ investment, so. That's why we went in that area, and we have to be so many feet away from the river and so many feet away from this and that. So our, the village does own a fair amount of property there, obviously, but the area that can be drilled in is, by the time you do this offset and that offset, is a fairly small area, so, that's what it yielded. We hope for this and hope for that until you poke the hole in the ground and do the testing. So far, the water quality looks good. We need to do further testing on that, but the only drawback on the quality that we saw so far was that when you ran it at a higher rate, that's when it starts to get the sand and the silt in it, the turbidity comes up, and then if we ran it at those rates, we need to filter it to get the sand out, so we don't wanna have to filter, so that's, the yield rate that the well will produce.
I'm thinking, you said there's a filter there already, right? Isn't there a filter? We don't have a filter there. So if we got a filter, which would of course be a more expensive thing, but would the flow be able to go higher than what it is now?
To some degree, yeah, probably. We put a different screen in to allow more water and somewhat, turbid water, which is, it's very, very fine sand.
But nobody wants to drink sand.
Yeah, and you can't, the health department has rules and regulations.
Right,
The water
right,
has to
okay.
be at a
Okay.
certain quality, so.
It's just a question I figured we could ask.
Sure.
Okay,
So you need a motion to approve?
Yeah, we do have a request for an invoice for prior well drilling, who's installed the well and done the work there to date, the amount of $33,875. So we would ask for village consideration in that.
somebody make a motion for that, for the prior,
I make a motion, we certainly have to keep going.
Second.
all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
And that's all I have.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
To subscribe or advertise, call 607-464-4009.